All right. So one of the most important things for overall general health is going to be sleep. This is a big deal for weight loss. This is a big deal for muscle growth. This is a big deal for longevity. This is a big deal for if you want to use the term anti-aging. I won't because it's illegal for me to use that term. Kind of like peptides are about to be illegal because the things that work, they've got to outlaw. But anyway, those are some of the most important things that we got to keep in mind is that if we're going to do anything for our body, we got to have to put some sleep into it. And so again, it's one of the cheapest, easiest things that you can do. Anybody can do this. You just have to schedule your day around it. Lots of people can get by with 6. Some people need 8. And the research on it is really murky. So, I don't know if it's 50-50, but there's a decent amount of people who need 8. So if you need 8, you're not weird or lazy or broken. You just need 8. What you guys are going to want to start doing, if, again, small cost, but get something that helps you track your sleep, your REM and your deep. You want to make sure that you're getting the entirety of the sleep. A lot of people are like, well, I'll just wake up a little bit early. The end of your sleep cycle is oftentimes the most important. So shaving an extra 30, 40 minutes, an hour off and just getting up a little bit early is doing a lot of detriment to you. So try to figure out how can I get solid 6 hours to 8 hours of sleep every night. And here's the deal. The circadian rhythm thing isn't necessarily tied to the clock nearly as much as it's tied to you. So you got to find you got to get in bed at the same time, fall asleep at the same time, wake up at the same time as much as you can. The easiest way to do that is to set a wake time and then back it up and be like, okay, that's how I got to do it. So if you got to get up at 6 and you're going to get 8 hours of sleep, you have to be asleep by 10, not in bed by 10. So if it takes you 20, 30 minutes to get to sleep, that means you got to be in bed around 9:30. This is math. You guys should be able to do this. So you get in bed at 9:30, you're asleep by 10, you get up at 6, there's your 8 hours. Now there's all sorts of things that's going to factor into getting good sleep. Methylated B vitamins are going to be your number one thing. Methylated B6, methylated B2 are big ones. Light pollution is definitely a thing, but brain activity is is the biggest one. So if you're doing things that are activating your mind, if you're thinking about tomorrow, if you're stressing about today, whatever it is, you got to figure out a way to knock that out. The easiest way I found is with the meditation thing I walk people through, and a pencil and a piece of paper or pen's fine. And you sit and you relax and somebody goes, oh my gosh, I got to call Ted tomorrow. Write it down. And then just allow yourself that once it's written down, you're done with it. You can move on. And then shutting your brain off so that you can get some sleep. Now, as far as everything goes, as far as your stress damage, as far as your chemical damage, as far as all those things go, the number one thing you can do for all that stuff is get good sleep. It's also, again, like I said, the cheapest thing you can do. So move some stuff around, tell people that you're not calling them back, set up some boundaries, and get some sleep. Like this is, it's so hard. You just got to decide you're going to do it. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Now, again, some of the light stuff is 100% a deal. So, get the lights off, darken the room, get how it needs to be for you comfort wise, as far as cold and hot, that sort of thing. But that's going to be a big, big deal. Now, if you're going to start spending some money on it, go ahead and spend some money on the bed because you're going to be spending a lot of time in there. The best way I found to do that is everybody really needs a little bit something different. Go get all the beds. They've all got all the nice beds have got, 120-day money back guarantees. Just get it in writing. Make sure there's no gotcha stuff in it and take it home and sleep on it for 45 days and see how you like it. Then go get the next one. If you're like, oh, I really like this one, great. Sleep on all of them. Try them all out. Tempur-Pedic, Blue, Serva, Purple, Sleep Number, all of them. Try them all out. Figure out which ones would work best for you. Now, here's the catch of this. You and your partner might need 2 different beds. My wife and I have 2 different beds. 2 twins make a king. Works out just fine. Plus, 2 different beds, if you have that up and down thing, works out really well. We also have a Sleep 8 system, which I really, really like. It'll heat your bed. It'll cool your bed. It'll track your temperature. And if you start getting hot and you sleep better at a specific temperature, it'll cool you off. Or if it's really cold in the room, it can warm you up. That's what tracks the REM and the deep and all that type of stuff, heart rate variability. I really like it. It's an expensive system for most people, but if you're going to spend some money on your health, this is one of those things that I would lean into because when you start looking at what healthcare is, you start looking at what are the things that really affect your health. Sleep's one of the number one things. So if you haven't had somebody walk you through your sleep, you definitely need it. Like this, these are the things that when you start working with somebody on your health, if they're not going through your sleep in detail, not just you should sleep 8 hours and then moving on. If they're not going through in detail, how's your REM? How's your deep? How are things going? You need to find somebody who's going to do that with you, because getting sleep is hypercritical to all types of health. So you guys got to make sure you're getting that in. The other thing is that, are you breathing while you're asleep? Some of the sleep studies aren't real hard to do. And if you come back and like, oh, yep, you've got some sleep apnea. All right, we need to do an emergency fix, which is normally like a CPAP, or sometimes dental devices will work. And then we got to figure out why you're having it. Most of the time it's inflammation and visceral fat. So we pull the visceral fat off the body and sleep apnea gets significantly better. My sleep apnea was so bad that it was giving me epilepsy. And so now that I've fixed the visceral fat issue and I fixed some of the sleep issues, my apnea is significantly reduced. I don't snore anymore. And so everything's kind of nice on that one. So if that's a thing, you guys need to really look at that, because that is one of the number one things that causes arterial plaquing, heart attacks, and strokes. Again, it's not the cholesterol. It's the damage to the cholesterol. So, if you got sleep apnea, you got to do something about that right now, because it's only going to get worse and the damage is cumulative. So the longer you've got it, the more damage you're going to have done to you. But those are some of the things that are super duper important. Now, if you're waking up between 2 and 4 in the morning, typically that's a liver issue. And so, there's a whole bunch of liver clearance things that you can do. Coffee enemas are always my favorite, because again, they're the cheapest and the most powerful. TUDCA, if you can get a good source, is really great. Again, methylated B6, methylated B2 are fantastic. Changing diet is oftentimes very beneficial. So those are some of the things that will keep things moving in the right direction. If you're a guy and you've got to get up to go pee 3 or 4 times a night, get your prostate checked, because that's most likely it. And don't just let them do a PSA. If you're peeing frequently and you feel like you're not emptying enough, I don't care what your PSA says, you got something going on. So get that looked at. Above that, those are some of the things. If you guys are not really focused on your sleep, I would spend some time in the new year doing that. You want to get healthy in the new year and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, figure out your sleep. Like, that'd be the number one thing. Because if you're like, well, I'll just make it extra dark in the room. Great. That shouldn't be that expensive. Do that. But I'm going to make sure I get to bed on time and I wake up on time. Great. That's pretty inexpensive. So try to figure that one out. That's going to be the big deal. So if you guys can get really, really good on your sleep, it's going to significantly enhance everything else you're trying to do. So, long-term brain function, long-term muscle function, hormone regulation, all those things are directly tied to sleep. So if you guys can get some good sleep, a lot of the rest of your body is going to be healthier. If you have any other questions, hit us up. You guys have a fantastic day.